Hello everyone, my name is Giraton and welcome back to B.B.T.A. and today we are covering the Digimon card game tutorial featuring the English version of the tutorial app. What we're going to be doing here is I'm going to be making this video. There's going to be two parts to this video, and then there's going to be a second video that will cover Tabletop Simulator, which will be how to buy it, how to install the mod, and how to use it for those who don't know how to do that. But for this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering the tutorial apps tutorial, and in part 2 we'll be covering some frequently asked questions by the player base. I went around and asked what people were what people commonly asked and stuff that would have trouble with in terms of the rules. But the tutorial app is really good. Now, to download the tutorial app, you have to do one of two things. One, you have to find a direct link to it on the App Store or Play Store. This is on iOS and Android only, so don't try to do it with your Windows phones. There's no option for that. I have this downloaded onto BlueStacks, but I also have it on my own phone. Yes, this is available in Australia. Yes, this is available in most of the UK. Yes, this is available in the US. Now, to find it on the Play Store or the iOS Store or anything like that, you actually have to type Digimon Card Game Tutorial App into the search bar. If you miss any word or type it wrong or anything like that, the app just gets buried in the search. You will not be able to find it if you do not type it all out. If you just write Digimon Card Game, doesn't appear. If you just write Digimon, doesn't appear. If you type in Digimon Tutorial App, doesn't appear. It has to be Digimon Card Game Tutorial App. Otherwise it doesn't appear. I don't know why, but the search just doesn't work if you don't do that. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So the app is separated into several steps. We have tutorial number 1 and tutorial number 2, and then it will give us the option to play with the 3 starter decks. However, the starter decks are half starter decks. They don't contain all the cards in the actual starter set. I believe they're missing like an entire level 3. And like a level 4 or something, and it has like less copies of the other cards or something like that. Either way, this app is actually really good. Let's just jump right into tutorial 1. I have messed around with this a little bit on this profile, and I've played both the Japanese and the English version on my phone. So yeah. In this tutorial, learn the basics of the Digimon card game. This includes playing Digimon, digivolving, and breeding. Now, I've played this tutorial. What this won't say is some basics about how the setup is made. So, to play the Digimon card game, you have 2 decks. You have a 50-card main deck, and you have a 0 to 5 Digitama deck. A Digitama deck is made up of just Digimon with the sort of Digi-Egg back, while the main deck is made up of the regular card back. Now the Digitama deck can only be made up of those Digitama with the alternative card back, while the main deck can be made up of any card in the game, any 50 cards in the game. There is some restrictions to playing cards, but in terms of building your deck, you can pick any 50 cards that aren't Digitama cards. And additionally, what this won't mention is you start off with 5 cards in the security stack from the top of the deck. It will show it, but it won't tell you it. As well as 5 cards into your hand, and there are several zones. There is the battle area, there is the breeding area, there is the deck, there is the discard pile. This is pretty basic trading card game stuff, but I wanted to explain it for those who have never played a trading card game before. Now, a hand is cards that you hold in your hand. You keep them secret from your opponent. Your deck is placed face down. You do not look at the cards in them unless a card says so. And in terms of Digimon, you normally won't see anything more than like the top 5 at any given time. The security stack is also face down. You do not look at the security stack. So when you take the top 5 cards of your deck and you place them face down in the security stack area as either a pile, or you can like spread it out as a like sort of fan, but you do not look at those either. That is hidden information to all players. You just set them up. So let's show it. So there's the Digitama deck. There's the 5 cards from the top of the deck. Now they do actually play with the half decks even during the tutorial. So that's why there's 30 cards in total instead of 50 cards. So yeah, the draw phase. In the draw phase, you draw 1 card from your deck. However, the player that goes first can't draw on their first turn. So we're going first. Now, there's several terminology things. If you've played with the English proxies from DigimonCard.dev, you will notice some terminology changes. The breeding phase is one of those. During the breeding phase, you can do one of the following. You can place 1 card from your Digi-Egg deck face up in the breeding area. This is called hatching a Digi-Egg. You move a level 3 or higher Digimon from the breeding area to the battle area, or you do nothing. You can only do one of those 3 things. There are cards that allow you to do it multiple times, but we'll get into that in the Q&A stuff. So this is the Digitama deck. It has a card back similar to that, while the regular card back is the blue one with the logo and stuff. And we'll go into the anatomy of a card in a bit. So this time, let's hatch a Digi-Egg. You place 1 Digi-Egg card from your Digi-Egg face up in the breeding area. Notably, the Digi-Egg deck is shuffled and can have anywhere between 0 to 5. Most players will say run 5. Some will say play 4 for consistency, depending on what your deck build is. But for the most part, you do want to be building a deck with it in mind. It can be 0. Flip that face up. Hatched Digimon are level 2. If you later Digivolve them to level 3 or higher, you can move them to the battle area during the breeding phase. And now we're at the main phase. Digivolution. Digivolving a Digimon causes it to become 1 level higher than it was. Let's Digivolve the Koromon in the breeding area. The Digivolution conditions of a level 3 Agumon in your hand are that it must be Digivolved onto a level 2 Digimon, and then it has a memory cost of 0. Koromon is a level 2, so that means it meets those conditions. Let's go over the anatomy of a card while we're at it. This is what a regular Digimon card looks like. It has a cost in the top corner. It has an evolution cost down here. It has a DP level, or Digimon power level. I will be referring to this as power for the for anything not actually written down here. It has a level of 3. It has a name, and then it has this text box down here. There can be a text box up here on top of the art, and that will be the main effect. The text box down here is called an inheritable effect. We'll get into those later. What's important right now is it says Digimon up there. That tells you that it's a Digimon and not a Digitama. The cost up here is that, and for evolving, you have to look at this. So this says it evolves from a level 2, and then it's 0 cost to evolve from a red Digimon. You do have to look at this icon for any evolution. There are cards with multiple colors in this spot. In that case, you evolve from one of those symbols. So if there's 2 symbols, you pick one to evolve from. So say, let's look at Omnimon. Omnimon has a cost that is either evolving from a red Digimon or a blue Digimon for, I think, 4 cost. So Koromon is red and level 2, so it meets those conditions. So we take the card from a hand, and we drag it on top of Koromon, and that evolves it. So you take the Agumon in your hand, you place it on top of Koromon to Digivolve. When you do, you get to draw 1 card from your deck as a Digivolution bonus. And then we could try playing the B.B.T.A in our hand. In order to play a Digimon, you have to pay its play cost. So you place B.B.T.A in your hand into the battle area and pay cost of 2. In order to pay memory costs, you move the memory counter that many spaces away from your side of the memory gauge. To explain the memory gauge while we are at it, that is this numbered strip in the middle of the playmat. In the actual physical game, it will be 2 square cards that you match up, or you can have your own custom-made one, or it will be printed on your playmat, or anything like that. There are lots of options for tracking the memory gauge, but the point is you want it to be able to track both players, and you want it to move from one side to the other. Now that I think about it, some dice that do that would be really cool. So, this is the cost in the top corner. That's the one we're paying from this to play it directly to the field. Whereas if we were digivolving, this is what we spend. As long as you can pay the memory cost, you can play a powerful level 5 or 6 Digimon if you want. So yeah, you can play any Digimon you want at almost any time during your main phase. But just note that how much memory you're paying for it. So they can't attack the turn they're played. Most players will call this summoning sickness. So if you ever hear summoning sickness, this is what it's referring to. It is Digimon can't attack the turn they're played. The app will have this little indicator saying that you can't do that. Your turn ends if the memory counter moves to the 1 or higher on your opponent's side of the memory gauge. If you lose lots of high cost cards, you're giving your opponent more memory to use during their turn. This is the resource system of the game. This is the most important thing about the game, and probably one of the most unique points. Yeah, it's honestly a lot more simple than it looks. The more memory you use, the more your opponent gets. Pretty damn easy. See it, they're spending 2 to play that directly to the field, and then they're spending 3 to play another directly to the field. So, now that we're in the breeding area, we can try moving a Digimon from the breeding area to the battle area. Since Agumon is level 3, it can be moved. So we drag that over here. There is no memory cost for moving a Digimon to the breeding area. Moving the Digimon in this way does not count as playing them, so the Digimon you moved can attack that turn. Digimon moved to the battle area can't be returned to the breeding area. Now this part is more important than it looks. If you have an effect to reveal like a Digitama, evolve it, and then move it out during the same turn it was flipped, such as the card Mimi, that means it can attack the turn you do that. Cards in the breeding area do not count as played in any way. Digivolving in the battle area. You could digivolve from the battle area as well. You could try digivolving B.B.T.A into Quadramon. So here we're going from a level 3 to a level 4. And that costs 2 to do, because it has an evolution cost of 2. So you take the Quadramon from your hand and place it on top of B.B.T.A, then pay the required memory cost. And then you draw 1 card as the Digivolution bonus, and the Digivolution is complete. Digivolution doesn't count as playing the card, so the Digivolved card can attack that turn. However, and this is very important, if you play a Digimon from your hand, then Digivolve that card, it still can't attack that turn. Very, very important that you remember that. Also, do not forget the card draw. That is mandatory. You do not get the option to draw a card. You have to draw a card every time you evolve. And that's the first part of the tutorial. Okay, so we're going into the part 2 of the tutorial. This will cover attacking and stuff. In this tutorial, we'll be going over the basics of battle. The victory conditions: get rid of all cards in your opponent's security stack and then attack them directly. Yes, that is the goal of the game. So the security stack here is set to 3 for this tutorial. So that's what you should be aiming to do in your battles. So attacking the opponent. Now then, when it's time to attack your opponent, you attack by taking one of your upright or unsuspended cards and rotating it sideways so that it is suspended. Players will refer to this as tapping and untapping. You tap a card, an unsuspended card, into suspended by turning it from upright to sideways. Let me actually visualize with a card. I have a Bakugan card here. So an upright card or an unsuspended card looks like this position, and then to attack with it, you got to rotate it sideways like that. That's pretty simple stuff. So you suspend your Agumon card to declare an attack. You can attack your opponent directly or any of their suspended Digimon. Right now, your opponent doesn't have any suspended Digimon, so you'll attack the opponent. What happens when damage is taken to the security stack? We'll cover this in a sec. So when you attack a player, you'd perform a check on one of their security cards. The card you revealed was Hammer Spark, an option card. So let's go over the anatomy of an option card, because they're different from Digimon cards. So first of all, they only have a cost. They don't have like an evolution cost or anything like that. And they also say option up here. They have a main effect, and they have a security effect. They also have a name, and that shows that. The main effect is what you get when you play the card, and the security effect is what you get when the card is revealed from a security stack. Digimon can have security effects, but this doesn't appear until set 3 or 1.5 for us, in English-speaking countries. But it is something to note that Digimon can do it. Yeah. When a card with a security effect is revealed by a security check, the effect activates. So Hammer Spark's security effect is gain 2 memories, so the counter will move 2 spaces to the right. Yes, note that the main effect and the security effect are different. Sometimes the security effect will say just use the main effect. Other times it will say different text. So you've got to follow the security effect for what it is. If the memory counter moves to 1 or higher on your opponent's side of the field of the memory gauge, it will become their turn once the attack is over. Once a security card activates its security effect, it is placed in its owner's trash. Security effects do not require a memory cost to activate. Do note that anything resolution-wise, say after the attack is completed or anything like that, that resolves before the turn moves over. So if there's any stackings of effects and stuff like that, they all have to resolve before the turn is moved over. So they're just going to straight go into attacking. Now to explain blocking. Time to block one of your opponent's attacks. Blocking is the defending against one of your opponent's attacks when a Digimon has the blocker skill, specifically. I'll see if I can show the card itself. You suspend the Digimon and declare that you are blocking. Using block switches the target of the attack to one with blocker, and the 2 Digimon do battle. Blocking is an important technique to protect your security stack or important Digimon. So yeah, not all Digimon have block, only specific ones do. And so only specific ones can. There we go, we can show it. So this is the text blocker. When attacking, lose 2 memory. That's actually separate from the blocker text, but the blocker text says, when an opponent's Digimon attacks, you may suspend this Digimon to force the opponent to attack this card instead, the blocker. By the way, to zoom in on a card in the app, you simply have to hold it. If you're using BlueStacks like I am, simply click and hold. In battles, you compare the DP, Digimon power, of both Digimon. The Digimon with the lowest power loses and is deleted and sent to the opponent owner's trash. If the 2 Digimon have the same DP, it becomes a tie and both Digimon are deleted. So 6,000 to 3,000. So our Digimon wins the fight and sends it to the trash. And then when a Digimon is revealed in the security stack, it becomes a security Digimon and does battle with the opponent's Digimon. If the attacking Digimon loses or the battle ends in a tie, it is deleted. However, security Digimon are sent to their owner's trash regardless of the outcome of the battle. Security Digimon differ from normal Digimon in that they can't activate any effects other than security effects, and aren't affected by card effects that would affect normal Digimon. So if a card says during your turn all your Digimon gain like 1000 power, that doesn't affect the security Digimon. It is just the Digimon that are in the main area. It also doesn't include the breeding area either, because that's not considered Digimon in play. In fact, just while I'm at it, any effects that affect Digimon do not affect Digimon in the breeding area unless the effect specifically states that it affects the breeding area. Yep. So let's hatch another Digi-Egg. And then we're going to evolve again. And then we can evolve yet again. So you can evolve from either area. You don't have to evolve in the breeding area. Basically, the breeding area is meant to be a safe space because they can't be affected by effects, but they also can't attack or be attacked. It's time to try out the option card Shadow Wing. If you're using it from your hand, you activate its main effect. So this is us using an option card. In order to use an option card, you must have at least one Digimon of the same color or one tamer of the same color in either your battle area or breeding area. This is part of the only 2 color restrictions in the game. The other color restriction is evolution. So when building a deck, all you have to consider is options have to have Digimon of the same color or tamers of the same color, and that your Digimon can only evolve from certain colors. Everything else is open game in terms of deck building, so do be highly aware when looking at deck lists and stuff. And of course, that only matters for evolutions. If you want to play a card, a random high power Digimon from a different color, you can still use it. You just can't evolve from it, so you can still play it to the field for their full memory cost. So we're gonna play this. I find you have to drag over here in order to use options and tamers, by the way. So if you're having trouble trying to like drag cards up here, you want to drag them over here. So reveal the Shadow Wing in your hand, then pay the memory cost, which is up here, and that's 1. Its main effect is one of your Digimon gain 3000 DP for the turn, and we're going to target Agumon with it. So he gets more powerful. With that, Agumon's DP went up by 3000 to a total of 5000. Once an option card is used, it is placed in the owner's trash. Now, we can attack their suspended Digimon with our Agumon. So, with Agumon all powered up, we attack the opponent's suspended Bearmon. For those who don't know Digimon, yes, every single Digimon ends their name with Mon. It gets old very quickly. If you attack another Digimon, as long as you aren't blocked by one of your opponent's other Digimon, the 2 Digimon will battle. Note that blocking happens after the attack is declared and any on-attack declaration effects have activated. So now we're going to evolve Agumon into Greymon. And that's going to cost us 2. Oh, cool. Now we're getting into this part. So, Agumon has an inherited effect. These effects can't be activated when on the field as a Digimon, and can only be activated when that Digimon becomes a Digivolution card. This would be known as a Digivolution source, or evolution source, as most players call it. That's that little text box down here with inheritable written next to it. So those only apply under. In the physical card game, let me get some Bakugan cards again. How they will be stacked is they will look sort of like that. so you can see the inheritable effect down there. That's how you want to set up your cards, and then you'll be turning them sideways as like that, or you could just turn the top one. Either way, inheritables only apply to the topmost Digimon, and every single Digitama card has an inheritable effect to bring up. That's part of the small little bonus you get from raising up from the breeding area. So they often have a small little bonus for doing so. Agumon's inherited effect is, during your turn, this Digimon gains plus 1000 DP. Yes, it does say this Digimon. This counts as adding to the skills of the Digimon on top. So during your turn, Greymon will gain an extra 1000 DP. This inherited effect applies even if you Digivolve Greymon again. By carefully choosing Digimon with inheritable effects to Digivolve with, you could breed an incredibly strong Digimon. When you want to attack a card's inherited, check a card's inherited effects, tap and hold on it to check its details. I'll show that in a sec. You can Digivolve with suspended Digimon, but they will stay suspended even after Digivolution. So yeah, evolution does not make a new Digimon. All evolution does is change the Digimon that's there. So any conditions that are currently affecting the Digimon stick around. So now we get to play our first Tamer card. So we're going to play Tai Kamiya. Tamer cards have continuous effects that benefit as long as they're in play in the battle area. So he costs 2 and has a main effect. We'll probably see that in a bit. So during our turn, all our Digimon gain 1000 power. So we reveal the Tai Kamiya in your hand, then pay its play cost. Now, because of its effect, all your Digimon gain an additional 1000 power during your turn. Tamer cards can't attack or block, but they can't be attacked by Digimon either. Also, if you have several copies of the same Tamer, you can play them and their effects stack. Unless a card says, like, it's set to something or one or the other. Okay, so we're going to see them evolve. It's telling us to block. We don't get the option there. Normally, I would just let that through. But they just want to help. Just want to teach us stuff. So they're gonna deal battle, and they're gonna kill each other. Cool. So they're gonna spend the full 5 to play a Grizzlymon, which is their blocker, by the way. In fact, I'll show the full thing. Okay, you're gonna move ahead of me. This turn, you can't do anything during the breeding phase, so move on to the main phase. Yes, we can move that out. It's not gonna let us. So we could Digivolve Greymon into Metal Greymon. Now use Metal Greymon to attack your opponent. So, can I... Okay, basically, that's got the same stats and stuff as Korjamon, it's just blue. So he gets security attack +1. Is that going to explain it? No. We might get into this later, but security attack pluses means that's how many cards they check during the security check. So if it's got security attack +1, then you're checking 2 cards, because your base security attack, which is like a hidden stat on every single Digimon card, is 1. So if you improve it by 1, it's going to 2, and that means you check 2 security cards when attacking security. You do that one at a time. If anything happens to the Digimon in between security checks, the security checks stop. So like if the Digimon loses the first fight, it dies, then you don't check the second security attack. So during this turn, declare that you're passing the turn to the opponent. Yep, it's going to explain this. So when you pass your turn, the memory counter moves to 3 in your opponent's side of the memory gauge, no matter how much memory you, as the player, have left. So you could have 0, you could have 10. If you're passing the turn, your opponent goes to 3. So Starlight Explosion was an option card revealed from the security stack. It would improve the power of our remaining security stack, but our opponent doesn't. We don't have any security left to be powered up in any way. So now we're gonna move the Digimon from the breeding area to the battle area. Okay, yeah, it's got to explain it. Now we're gonna use Metal Greymon to attack your opponent. So security attack +1. Using the effects of security attack +1, you can perform 2 checks on your opponent's security cards. When checking multiple security cards, make sure to check them one at a time. So if we lost this battle, we wouldn't check the second one. But we did. So we're gonna lose this. We're gonna lose our Digimon to that. So yeah, if the Digimon you're attacking with is deleted or returned to hand in the middle of the check, the check ends there. A check will also end if your opponent has no security cards left. It will also end if one of the security cards, say, reduces your security attack. If it reduces it lower than the amount of security attacks you've got left, it will stop there. So say I've got security attack 3, and on the second card of the security, it reduces it by 1. Now, they wouldn't perform any more checks. But if I had security attack 3, and then it reduces it by 1 on the first attack, then I do 1 more check, but I don't do the third check. So we're going to use Digimon to attack the opponent, and that will win us the game. If you landed attacking your opponent when they have no security cards left, you win the game. So congratulations, you won. So that's the basic tutorial from the app. There's a lot more you can do with this app in terms of using the half decks to just play a bunch of games. And I highly recommend you download this app and just play a bunch of games, because it is really fun. This app is really well designed, and a lot of people hope that it becomes a full app, including myself after just playing the English version for a bit. I wasn't too sure when I was playing the Japanese one, but after playing the English one, it's like, this app is so beautifully designed. I would love to see it expanded upon. Even if it's just adding more starter decks or stuff like that, or allowing multiplayer between players with the half decks, even that much would be just great. Like local multiplayer even, that sort of thing. But yeah, this app is really good. Now, I highly recommend you download it and just get through the tutorial and then play a bunch of games with the half decks, because if you do that, and I'm going to show one in the background as I'm explaining the frequently asked questions. So yeah, you can use the half decks doing those in battles. I'm going to be showing those in the background as I'm going over the FAQs, but I highly recommend you do that, especially since this game is tempo-based in terms of its strategy. So in order to get a feel for the tempo, you want to go through a lot of games just so you have the general gist of how this game plays, because you do have to think several turns ahead. It's a bit chess-like in a way. You gotta sort of plan ahead. And that can be difficult to do if you're not used to that sort of gameplay. So, yeah, you get the Gaia Red deck after finishing the second tutorial. So I'll show this being played in the background. Now we're just gonna cover the FAQs. Okay, so we're back and we're gonna cover some questions. So these have all been submitted by people in the community. I asked around a bit. Not got too many here. If you have any more, I will answer them in the comments. So we're going to just play the game in the background and read over these. So when you play Digivolve a card that moves the memory to your opponent's side, however effects happen to make you gain memory back into your side, is it your turn or is it their turn? So all effects have to resolve before the turn passes over. So if the resolution results in, even though it moved to your opponent's side during the resolution, it then moves back to your side, it is your turn. As long as the memory counter is on your side of the field, it is your turn. So yeah. just gonna do that. Next question is, when you reduce a security attack of a Digimon to 0, but you have those security cards, can you win the game by attacking with that Digimon? Yes. So security attacks do not care about the player attack. The direct attack can be literally anything as long as it's a Digimon that can attack. Now, what isn't actually mentioned in the tutorial app until you get to playing against the yellow deck is if a Digimon's power is reduced to 0, not a security attack, that Digimon is deleted. And it's not deleted in the general sense. It is, or like by a card effect or anything like that. It is just straight deleted. So yeah. Question: when your opponent attacks your Digimon and has Pierce, but their security attack is 0 due to your opponent's effect, do they still check a security card? Also, if your opponent has 2 security attacks on a Digimon with Pierce, do they check 2 securities if it destroys a Digimon? This requires explaining Pierce. Pierce is a keyword effect, like Blocker, that says whenever it attacks a rested Digimon, and wins that fight, it then moves on to a security attack. Notably, yes, this does count the current security attack stat. So if it's 0, you don't check any security. You don't check any security cards. If it's 2, you check 2. Because you are making a security attack against the security stack. So you have to make all the checks and stuff. Wow, this game's going really well. When your Digimon has 2 security attacks and checks the first security, but its DP is less than the first security, Digimon doesn't check the second security. I mentioned this in the previous part. Yes, you don't check the second security because your Digimon died or is returned to hand or anything like that. It's mentioned in the app. You don't check multiple security if your Digimon stopped in the middle of that security check. Can we play option cards, many colors in any deck? You can play whatever cards you want in the deck. Just know that to play option cards, you have to have on the field, and I do mean not including the breeding area or anything like that, on the main play area, a Tamer or Digimon of the same color. Notably, Tamer cards do not have this restriction. You can play a Tamer cards, just a lot of Tamer cards specify colors in their effects. That's just a thing. I'm not going to cover best ratio for deck building. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to make a proper deck building video and stuff like that. Memory system. Do you get plate effects when you evolve? Oh, right. The app doesn't actually cover this. But when played and when Digivolve are 2 separate things. A card with a when played effect does not include Digivolving. It is only when you spend the full cost to play directly to the field. No other case. Although there are effects where you can play them from like a discard pile or directly from the deck or something like that. Those also count as played. Has to be specifically played. Digivolving is not playing. So, when played effects do not trigger when you Digivolve, and when Digivolved effects don't apply when you play them. It is only when you Digivolve into them. That is a very important distinction. If you have multiple triggers go off at once, can you choose the order? So, basically how the stack system in this game works is you always, the turn player decides the order of their cards, and then the non-turn player chooses the order of their cards. And you resolve them one at a time. There's no, like, chains or anything like that. It is your cards, you pick the order, and then they resolve in that order, and then, then your opponent does their cards, and they resolve it in that order, one at a time. Yeah, like that. Yeah. I think that's actually all the questions I've got. So, let's, we're just gonna finish off this game. I'm not gonna block this attack. And I'll just go over how I'm playing this game out. So, I managed to get War Greymon out. He's the boss monster of the Gaia Red structure deck. And Blue managed to get their big boss monster out. But I managed to get mine with all the sources, so I'm getting a huge bonus on him. So we're gonna move that out. Notably for red, you probably want to be moving out of the breeding area as much as possible because you want to be drawing a lot of cards, and you want to be evolving as many times as possible. You really need those cards. So we're going to do a direct security attack. We should be able to clear through the rest of them. We've got, like, security attack plus 4 or something like that. And we're going to do a direct attack. Pretty simple stuff. Didn't need to do anything there too difficult. I'm pretty sure that was a near-perfect game for the Gaia Red deck. If you want to know which of the starter decks you want to get that's, like, really powerful, the Gaia Red deck is really solid. Because the Gaia Red deck, without any customization, is so consistent and has a lot of potential power behind it, that it's actually able to keep up against set 2 meta Digimon decks, which means for us that will be 1.0 meta. Pretty well. I was using it as sort of a shadowboxing deck to fight against. So that's a good pickup. I recommend getting the red deck regardless of if you want to play red or not. And you want to get 2 of the starter decks of whatever one you get. You might be able to get away with the yellow deck, not playing that. Not by more than one of that, but you do need the starter decks for their cards because all the cards in the starter decks are exclusive. So if you're interested in playing a color, get the starter deck for that color, and you want to get 2 of it. Well, I've got you here. Let's just go through the rest of the decks just to show off how they work, and so you can get a better sense for the game. I'm going to explain everything I do in this game. So let's evolve to start off with. That's a little annoying because I wanted that. Okay, I'm just gonna play Matt here. Matt gives a memory if your opponent has a Digimon without an evolution source on their main battle area. I like having that as early as possible, especially against the AI, because they tend to do that. They very much tend to do that. I've played this enough that I've actually learned how the AI fights. And I'm starting to be really sneaky about how I do that. So we're going to evolve into level 4 and draw more cards. I was really hoping for more than that. So I'm going to play my blocker via evolving so I can draw more cards, because I really need... Oh boy, this is bad. We're going to play Sora Blue. What this card does is it targets a Digimon without a source, and then it can't attack or block until the end of the opponent's next turn. So we're going to spend 2 and evolve into Magnadramon. Now, notably, how that card works is even though it can only target a Digimon without any sources, it still affects any Digimon it evolves into. God, what is with this hand? It is awful. Ugh. Oh, and I don't want to attack. So what TK here does is this is probably the most powerful card in the structure deck format, because all your security Digimon gain plus 2,000 DP. It's probably the most powerful thing in the yellow starter deck. Unfortunately, it's not terrible in yellow decks, but it's not amazing either. It doesn't really give power to yellow that other decks can't really deal with or anything like that. We're just gonna pass here. I'm gonna hope I draw better cards next turn. Because I can't play the Shadow with the Sora Blues from my hand. The Hammer Sparks are just gonna increase my memory. It's not really gonna help me in any way. This is not a great situation. I'm not gonna block that. I'm gonna take it directly on. I'm gonna move us to 4 and play that blocker. Okay. Gonna gain +1 memory. Okay. Main phase. So we're gonna evolve. Okay, that's better than nothing. We can start stacking up the field and just going for a Rookie Rush. In fact, I'm gonna cast this. And we're gonna disable that. And I'm going to attack. I'm gonna hope that... okay, yeah, that's annoying. Pass. This is a really bad game for me. Just because of that brick hand. Yeah, people don't play Sora Blue, it's not a great card. Just gonna take that. Grizzlymon. Crap, they've weakened it. No, we're not gonna block that either. Ah, but we got to kill them anyway. Because this is a tempo game and security attacks can kill off their attackers, I don't tend to block very often until it's near the end of the game. Okay, that's a little annoying because I can't really do much with the way Greymon. I don't want to evolve over my blocker because that will remove my blocker. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep pushing for... No, they got the blocker. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the blocker. Then I'm going to do some security attacks. I was really hoping to not see anything. I'm hoping to see either tamer cards or option cards. I'm just not seeing them. They've got so much stacks on the TKs. Playing Hammer Sparks isn't really going to make any difference because it's just going to put my opponent to 5 instead of 7, and they're basically going to do the same amount regardless. Yeah, there's a trick to giving your opponent as little memory as possible, but there's also to just there's some merit to just playing big and hoping for the best. For example, they didn't use any of their memory because they're not really playing anything big. So I could just stack up on memory myself. Okay, so we are gonna evolve just so we can draw more cards. There we go. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for this boy. So, what Metal Garurumon does is, when attacking, once per turn, unsuspend this Digimon. This doesn't stop the attack or anything. Basically, Metal Garurumon has double attack. He can attack twice. Additionally, because they have a Digimon with no Digivolution sources in their blocker, this gets security attack +1 from the inherited effect of Garurumon. So we're gonna just do attack directly because I can't get rid of the Magna Dramon as much as I'd really like to. But they're probably gonna block. No! Okay. No! Ass! But doesn't matter, they're at 0. We should hopefully be able to do something next turn. We do actually have enough to win. They don't like attacking with blockers in any way, so we don't have to block here. yeah, they don't like attacking with blockers even if they can win. That's just an AI thing. Against an actual player, I would use the blocker because they would attack anyway. Blockers can attack. They just most of them will lose you 2 memory for doing so. So we're gonna move this out, and we're gonna win the game. So we're gonna start off by attacking with Gabumon. They're gonna block it, but because they have to tap to block, they can't block again. And with that, we attack with our blocker and win the game. So I would have lost against an actual player for that brick. But fortunately the AI is dumb and doesn't attack with blockers, so I was able to win anyway. It probably would have been some strategy to holding off earlier security attacks, but needed to win. And yeah, here's the final deck of the app, the yellow Seraphimon deck. This explains the whole reducing your opponent's power, and if you reduce it to 0, it deletes them before they even get like the chance to do anything with them. There's a big yellow deck about reducing stuff to 0 to do a bunch of effects. This shows a little bit of it. So we're going to start off by playing Salamon. There is some merit to filling up the field a bit, but I'm actually just going to play TK here. I do like having TK as fast as possible, and it leaves my opponent too. I didn't necessarily need it this early, but I didn't want to have to deal with playing it later. I might be able to do more with my hand in a few turns. Okay, they're playing Starlight Explosion. What that card does is increase the power of the security Digimon by 7,000 for their next turn. It's basically their equivalent of their closest equivalent to a TK option, and it's a good card, especially in the trial deck format. But I can just avoid it by, well, not attacking. I'm gonna double evolve here, leave my opponent at 3, and just have a nice Digimon to start off with. They're not using the breeding area like at all. We're just going to evolve, we're going to draw more cards, and there we go, we got Seraphimon. We have no ways of increasing our stuff, so I'm going to attack with Magnet Angemon first. No! That's the one thing I didn't want to see. That's butts. Okay, in that case, we're just going to evolve into Unimon down here. If I had Magna Dramon in hand, I would have just played that. And it's only Patamon, so even though it gets the power boost from TK, it's not enough. I'm gonna move this out. And all I'm gonna do here is play a Patamon. I'm gonna save up for the next couple of turns. Thing is, I've got all my Magnet Angemons in my hand, so I don't really have much in my security likely that will be able to deal with their big stuff. So I'm not gonna block. All my opponent's Digimon gain security attack -1. Okay. Slightly helpful. Not really. Nah, doesn't really do much. Cool, another card draw. So I'm gonna evolve into Salmon from the breeding area. Man, I really don't have much. I can reduce that by... How much is this reduced by again? By 2,000. I can't do that and attack. But... You know what? I'm just gonna play Digimon. They're probably not gonna do anything. Their breeding area is full with a blocker, and while they can probably then play the big boy and attack with it, I hope Digimon be ready to deal with it. Okay, they're evolving their blocker. That's interesting. Okay, they're going into a Phoenixmon. That's their big vanilla. They're playing an Agumon. Then they're going to attack directly. I'm not going to block that, because they'll just get memory for it. I'm not going to block that either. Ah, they're leaving me with so little memory to work with. It's actually really frustrating. Okay, I'm gonna bring that out. I'm gonna ram these two. Because I need stuff to survive. I'm then gonna evolve into this. So I have some blockers ready to go. Okay, hopefully with their low memory, they won't do much. And they'll give me a decent chunk. This is the problem with Yellow. They don't really have any ways of dealing with the fact that they get low memory. And they really need it. No. I'm gonna let this one through. Hey, security attack -1. But okay. Let's draw a card just to... Yeah, I know. I gotta keep track of my deck. I don't have any security left. Oh, this has been... Yeah, that's the other problem with Yellow. You really... In the starter deck, you really need to get TKs as fast as possible, because otherwise your security deck is kind of pointless. You need to get, like, multiple for it to do much. This has been a bad game for me. So I'm gonna play a Heaven's Charm. I'm gonna reduce that by 2,000. And then I'm gonna use a Unimon to attack it. It's gonna make me lose 2 memory, but I get to get rid of that. Yes, I know blocker is important. Fortunately, there's no, like, speed attack or anything like that that just loses summoning sickness yet. I don't think, anyway. There certainly isn't any in the starter decks, so I should be able to deal with the fact that I just need to block this attack. Oh good, they're putting me at 4. Unfortunately, they also have that. Oh boy. Okay, let's bring that out. I'm gonna put that over here. Because I want that effect. That would be great if I had any security stack left. Can't really reduce it by enough to do anything. I'm gonna have to play another blocker here. Lots and lots of power boosts. Yep, they gained the memory for it. It's a bit of a desperate shake-up. I'm probably not gonna win this. God dang. Stacks on stacks on stacks, and then leaving me with nothing. Yeah, I think I just lose here. There's nothing I can do. Ugh. Escape. So yeah, that's what happens when that's what happens most of the time with Solid Deck Yellow. When it gets going really well. Like your opponent just attacks security and loses all their Digimon, and then you just come back while controlling their field. It's a really good control deck. The tempo's out. It didn't have any deck left. Oh, good stuff. They ran out of deck. We ran out of deck too. We would have lost if it went to our turn. But we win because they decked out, because half decks. Okay. So yeah, in a regular game, I would have lost there. But because they're half decks, they ran out of deck pretty damn quickly. That's the problem with evolving too much. Okay, that's a good way of ending the video. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe for more Digimon content, as well as if you're interested in Beyblade or Bakugan content. Check out all the links in the description. There will be a link directly to the iOS and Android versions of the app, so you can get them via that. But remember, if you want to find this using the search bar on your web store, you must type in Digimon Card Game Tutorial App in full. There is no in-betweens there. And yeah, check out our Discord and stuff like that. We've got a bunch of other things. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Kirito out.